All right, guys, as always, we promise we deliver. Now, how hard is the math on the Florida business and finance exam? That's a common, frequently asked question I get. A lot of students says like, how hard is it? Is it really hard? Like, I'm not good at math. I didn't do good at math in school or college or whatever. This is literally all you need. You need a calculator and yes, a practice, prior knowledge, maybe our course, that will take you there. That's one of the biggest thing that people ask me and they're scared about. It's like, how hard is the math? And they're just making it scarier than what it really is. To be honest, right now, you're not going to be taking a college math course. That's the first thing. There's no crazy math. We're not doing any integration. We're not doing any crazy physics, nothing like that. Nothing like that. We're adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing, maybe knowing a little bit about areas, maybe knowing a little bit about percentages. But that is common stuff. That is actually common stuff that practicing a little bit and using the calculator, you'll be able to figure out. You don't have to do the math in your head. You don't need to think what is 9 times 8. No, you have this bad boy right here. You say 9 times 8 and it'll give you 72. That's it. The thing is learning how to read the question and what is it asking you. So the most challenging part of the math is actually reading. But I think that it's the business terminology that actually make the math look more difficult than what it really is. So in our course, what we try to do is give you the basic concepts so you're able, when you read the question, you kind of understand where they're coming from. What is the type of math that you need to know? Number one, percentages. Everything that has to do with percentage. Why? For example, for markups, for profit. If you have a job that you're charging, I don't know, let's make it a big one, $500,000, and you're going to charge a markup of 10%. Well, you have to times that 10%, 0.5, and that's $50,000. So you will add simply the $500,000 plus the $50,000, and that's your markup, that's your profit, that's that percentage, that 10%. So, it's not really complicated. It's just understanding. If they ask you about gross profit, if they ask you about overhead percent, if they ask you about a discount, a type of discount, a percentage of discount, those are things that you need to understand and know how to manage, know how to multiply. It's just understanding where they're coming from. The other type of math that is kind of hard on this exam is the accounting math. So there is a lot of accounting terms when it comes to math, like assets, liabilities, income, expenses. So you need to calculate your expenses. You need to calculate, how much is rent, how much is your truck, then see what of that is a liability. Those type of numbers is addition, subtraction, maybe a little multiplication, nothing difficult. It's more about the term. We're not accountants, but we're running a business. And as we're running the business, there's accounting terms that we need to use to make it profitable and to make it big. The other type of math that we might get also related to our work is payroll. When you have a lot of guys working out in the field, you need to figure out how much is the rate per hour per guy, how many hours did they work, did they work overtime? So those payroll questions are very important to figure out. And multiplication. Fernando worked 40 hours and he makes hopefully, let's say $500 an hour one day, and he worked 5 days. So, that's a lot of money. That's the kind of thing that you need to figure out. How much is his overtime? 1.5 times past the 40 hours. So those are the things that you kind of need to learn how to figure out, how to manage, and how to use your calculator to get you there. Another commonly, frequently asked question, and that's in our business and finance books, is about loans. Loans, interest rates, everything about discounted loans, loan fees. So those are terms that we need to understand. Now, loan is equal to the amount that we're borrowing plus the interest. It's usually a rate, which means it's a percentage. So as long as we understand that, we're able to figure out what is a discount loan, where they pay us up front and they take the interest away from us at the beginning, or how long will it take us to repay that loan over time if it's a repayment question. There are questions like that. They're not difficult. It's just figuring out the amount of years or the percentage of the rate, the amount that you have, and you're going to be able to figure out everything in between. Another math questions that might come up for you guys is estimating. Estimating already like construction work, that's on the field. And if you guys are working on the field, this might feel a little bit simpler because this is numbers that we do every day. So for example, we have to do how much are the materials. We need to know how much is the area that we're gonna cover. Because if we're gonna paint the whole wall, we do area, height times width. That will give us the area. Area square footage, we're gonna times it by the rate, and we're gonna give our client the estimate. So if we're gonna dig a trench, what is the volume of dirt that we're gonna come out with? How many trucks do we need to take that dirt somewhere else? So if the truck can carry X amount of cubic yards of material, then I need to figure out how many yards of materials pulling out. This kind of questions are a little bit harder, but those are things that you might be able to practice, figure out later, and of course, always use your calculator. When you're on the testing center, sitting there, they give you a plastic clear piece of paper and a marker that is erasable. My first tip is to first write the data for the question. And they're gonna give you sometimes more data than what you actually need. For example, if it's a loan question, the loan amount, the interest rate, the amount of years, the price of the home, the price of the truck, the years that it'll take to pay back, everything that they give you, write it in a sequence as data. Then you can figure out what they're asking you and what of that data did you need, so you are able to keep on going in your question. If you fill your page, you raise your hand, whoever's working there will come to you, take your paper, clear it out, and give you a new one. Okay, so another thing, what makes the math actually difficult? We know that we're just adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing, and maybe using percentages at most, and we can do everything here. The difficulty will be what I just mentioned before. They might give you more information than what you need. That way you will get confused and you don't know which numbers to use. That's a trick. That's why you need to practice and you need to go through questions so you're able to figure that one out. The question might use terms. There are accounting terms, and the BGA, the Builder's Guide to Accounting book, has pages where it will give you the formulas. So it has ratios there that, if they ask you for a ratio, I think, okay, I might not know it out of the top of my head, but that's in the BGA. So some of the terminology might be hard, but again, you have the books to base that off. Another thing is that they might give you questions that have multiple steps. So this is something that is very common as well. For example, they're gonna ask you for a repayment on a loan, right? But they're gonna tell you that you own a truck, material, and you own on the credit card something else. So first you need to add them up to know how much is your loan amount, So it's a multiple step. You need to figure out what they're asking you, what you have, and maybe the route to get there sometimes. That's the most difficult thing you ever find. Finally, is the rushing aspect of it. You have time restriction. You need to finish this exam in 6.5 hours. If you see that you're struggling too much with math, guys, and there's a question that you just don't understand, it's not getting you anywhere. You're far off. Relax, breathe, read it again one more time, trying to make sense of it, and look at the options. You should always read the question completely the first time before attacking that book. Attack the book, look for it, then look at the options again and try to match it. Try to say, okay, this is too far off. This number doesn't make sense. These other three numbers make kind of sense. This might look right. Click that one, flag it, move on. Don't waste more than 5 minutes on the math questions. Don't stress yourself. Don't overkill yourself. Don't fry your brain with one math questions if you know that you don't need math to pass the exam, guys. Literally, you don't need math to pass the exam. Why? The exam has 125 questions. You need to get about 80 something right, and there are usually 15 questions that are math. So even if you don't get one math question right, but you're really good with your book, you'll be able to pass the exam. So now, should you memorize the formulas? No, everything is on the book. Most of the math questions have an example of the book or have a ratio or some sort of formula in the book that will lead you to the answer. Yeah, you need to know how to get percentages and maybe, a little multiplication tricks here and there. But again, you're using the calculator. You just need to practice enough and know where to find them. If they ask you for a ratio, we have from the BGA a page that has common ratios. We even have a tab for it. So you can go to that page, to the book, look at the common ratio, compare what you have in the question, figure it out, multiply, divide, get the answer, and you're good to go. The last tip that I have for you guys today is what to do with the hard math question on the exam. If you get a really hard math question on your exam, and you read it the first time and then it's like, I have no idea what they're asking, and you can't figure it out, just move on. Just trying to see what the options are, try to make sense of it. So this card's the one that don't make sense, and try to choose the one that makes the most sense. Choose it, flag it. Again, even if you get all the math questions wrong, but you're really good with your books, you're gonna be able to pass the exam. So mark it, flag it, next. Don't burn yourself. So finally, guys, if math is not your subject, if you weren't really good at math throughout high school, you don't need to worry. Everything is on the book, formulas, examples, etc. Second of all, you come with your calculator. Even if the math question is so hard that you're not able to figure it out, you can still pass the test. No worries, guys. We're here for you, Florida Exam Prep. If you need any math, you know where to go to. I'll wait for you guys over here. All right, see ya.